I adore beautiful, fresh, fragrant soups, and that's exactly what I'm going to be making, a delicious Vietnamese style beef noodle soup. It's actually quite easy to do, but it's all in the stock. So to start this stock, you need lots of beef bones. All you do is call your butcher ahead of time, or usually they'll just give you these for a really inexpensive price. So you need a good amount of that into a big pot, just like this, like a stock pot. And I like to add some chicken wings to this. Chicken wings have so much flavour, and I'll actually pick the meat off the chicken wings once they're cooked. So we'll add them, a few more in there, and now we want to cover this with lots of water. So I'll say 3 litres, but depending on your pot, you may need a little bit more or a little bit less. But what we really want to do is ensure all of these bones are covered with the water. So now I'm going to put the heat on this. This is going to take about 40 minutes, so you just want to hang around, skim off any of the impurities that come to the surface. Once that's done, we can move on to the next step. Now I've skimmed off most of the impurities, so now we're on to the second stage, which is flavouring this. I've got about 4 spring onions here, and I'm adding the whole lot. So that can go into our broth, along with some ginger, and I'm just going to slice this so that can go in there. And 4 cloves of garlic, so we'll scatter them. And some spices, so 1 cinnamon stick, and a few star anise. And last but not least, I have 1 onion. Now, what I've done with this onion is blackened it all over on an open flame. You can also do this in a grill pan. And what this does is give this stock a really beautiful golden colour. And my sauces will do that at the end too. But just to give it a head start, that onion can go in there. Now, there's 1 piece of meat that I haven't included in this, and that's a piece of skirt steak. This is about 300 grams. You don't need too much. What this is going to do is cook really gently in this broth. Of course, flavour it, but once this is cooked, it's going to shred nicely. So there's going to be a few different types of meat in here, which makes this soup or this broth so special. I'm going to turn it all the way down and then just let that cook for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and then I'm going to strain it. It smells like a Vietnamese restaurant in here. All of those aromatics have been cooking down. Occasionally I go with my ladle and just clean up the surface there. If you see any little white bubbles, we'll take that away. The more that you do this, the more clear that your broth will be. Now that this is cooked, I'm going to take out that skirt steak and we'll pop it into this bowl here, along with a few of those chicken wings. The meat is just so lovely and soft and tender. It'd be a shame to waste it, so I will be picking off the meat from there. I'm just gonna allow it to cool just for a moment, but in the meantime, I can start correcting this broth, meaning giving it some more flavour. Also, this broth, after you have strained it, you can cool it down, place it into some plastic containers and freeze it, and it's so good if you want a really fast midweek dinner. This soup is very similar to a pho. It's actually spelt pho, P-H-O, but the correct way to say it, I've been told, is pho. And it is one of those just delicious dishes where you just have to have some noodles on standby and some condiments like I have here, a little bit of lime, and dinner is ready, and it's just spectacular. All right, that's plenty for me. I'm going to put in a little bit of fish sauce. I prefer you to just add like a 1/2 teaspoon. Have a taste after you've put the soy sauce in, and then correct it again. That's the best way to do it. You don't want to get to this stage where you've put so much love into this stock and then ruin it by putting too much of the fish sauce. So I'll add about a tablespoon of that soy there, and that's going to give it the seasoning, the saltiness. We'll give that a stir, and now you can have a taste of this really clear soup. It is really good, but it could do with a little bit more soy and a little bit more of that fish sauce. Now we need some acidity in here, and we're going to get the acidity from some lime. And I'll just cut this lime in half and squeeze that in there. And then the last component, just to round all of these flavours off, we need some sweetness, so just some caster sugar. I'm going to add that to our hot broth and just allow that to dissolve. One last taste. Oh yes, that's right on the money there. That is absolutely perfect. And it will change depending on your taste buds, what you like. If you like a little bit more acidity, add some more lime. If you want it to be more salty, add a little bit more of that soy sauce. And now we can start building the other ingredients in here. So, got some fresh noodles here. Also, the meat. Now, look at this. See how soft that is after cooking for an hour and a half, 2 hours? The meat just shreds away. And that can go straight on those noodles. And don't forget the chicken here. Look at this. See how this just falls apart? And if you thought that that was plenty of meat, well, in a classic Vietnamese soup, there's also a little bit of raw steak. So I've got a nice piece of rump steak here. Now this has been chilled, and what I'm gonna do is just cut some very thin slices, paper thin slices. That is going to cook in the broth. It's going to cook instantly. So that goes on top. I'm using rump here, but you could absolutely use some eye fillet, or you could use some Scotch fillet too. I love this so much. I'm going to add one more piece on the top there. Great. And now we can get our aromatic broth here and just pour it in, and see how it's changing colour now? It's cooking, so by the time you eat that, it's completely cooked. And if it is a little bit rare, even better, it tastes better. So I'll fill that up, and then we're going to add some bean sprouts for some crunch. Also, I've got some fresh chilli here. I'll just slice a few slices here, thin rounds, and I just sprinkle that in and around. And some herbs. You could use any type of Asian herb, some Thai basil, beautiful. I've just got some mint, just a few leaves, and some coriander. If you like coriander, that can go on there. And that is looking so good. I like this to have a little bit of heat to it, extra heat. So I get a little bit of my favourite chili sauce and just pop a nice big dollop. Wow, that's an awesome soup. Vietnamese noodle soup. There's chicken in there, there's beef bones in there, there's skirt steak and that gorgeous rump steak. This is such a divine soup that's so fragrant and it's really, really filling.